Hello everyone, this is Anish Verma and you are listening to the Empower Your Mind for Success podcast, the podcast for anyone who wants to build an entrepreneurial mindset. So, as far as I remember in my childhood, while growing up in India, there were not many people who were abundantly rich. And most of us, post the British rule, post-independence since 1947, lived a modest life. There are a lot of people, became industrialists and they became very rich, but being rich was a very, very small class. And, whenever someone was rich, we kind of looked at them with intrigue and even kind of convinced ourselves that it's only for a very few people to be okay to be rich. So being rich was, or even dreaming that you want to be rich was kind of considered. I don't know what the right word would be, but I don't want to say it almost like sinful, right? And we convinced ourselves that it is okay. Happiness is about achieving oneness with your soul, with God, and that is okay. That if you want to go down that path, if money is not involved, and many people kind of pursued it that way, right? And it was okay for us not to be rich. It was okay for us to just make enough money and a little bit more to save for the rainy day. But as I grew older, I realized that money is one of the most important aspects in our lives. Money does not buy happiness. I think we all know that. It is absolutely clear. Money does not buy happiness, but money buys you pretty much everything else that one person would need to have in life. So being rich is absolutely okay desire to have. It is not wrong. It is not yucky. Right? It is okay to feel that you want to desire more money. Money, and it's not just about the Hindu culture, Hindu religion, or Hinduism. But I've heard this in other from other people, from other cultures, from other heritages as well, who have spoken about money in a very similar way. And I wanted to share that with all of you, as to why it is okay, why I believe it is okay that we all should desire to be rich. Actually, it should be one of our sole purposes to be the best version of ourselves, so that we can then serve humanity and our communities and the people around us to become better themselves. Being rich is not self-fulfilling mission. Being rich it helps us to help others more. Today, if you ask someone if you could help them, the number one thing, 99.9% probability, is that they will ask you for money, because then they can use that money to do whatever they need to do to get the end result. But if you don't have enough of money, how can you give it to others? But the question is, if it's okay to desire for money, why do we have that desire to begin with? Right? And I think that's where I want to go back millions and millions and millions of years ago, using science and evidence that our scientists have discovered. Right? But before we get there, I want you to kind of imagine, right? If you had abundantly enough money in your life, more than what you need, how would you live your life? Just close your eyes. If you're not driving, please. If you're driving, do not do that. Focus on your driving. But if you're seated in a place, close your eyes and imagine, how would you live your life if money was not an issue? If you always had enough, what would you do? How would you help others? How would you live your life on a day-to-day basis? Right? I spoke yesterday about oxygen being of abundance, or a couple of podcasts ago, right? But if you think about money that way, right, there's enough in the world. What would you do? Would you seek knowledge? Would you seek reasons of why you exist? Would you make more temples, fund more schools? Would you help others that do not have enough of it, right? How would you live your life, right? Something to think about. And I've mentioned in my previous podcasts as well that we live our life on 3 planes, right? The physical, the intellectual, and spiritual. And it is absolutely okay for our lives to be as rich as possible, as fulfilling as possible, as abundant as possible on all the 3 planes. Absolutely fine, right? There is no need for us to be happy only at the spiritual plane or the soulful plane, right? Why can't we also be rich at the physical plane and the intellectual plane? It is absolutely fine, because none of these planes are superior or as compared to the other. We all exist in all these 3 planes at the same time, and we need to flourish in all the 3 planes, right? So, at least coming from the Hinduism perspective, there were a lot of sages in India who spent all their life in the Himalayas trying to achieve illumination and wisdom, and they didn't seek money. They were seeking, I believe, connecting the dots, they were seeking enrichment only on the spiritual plane. But it is okay for us to aspire for being rich across all the 3 planes. So going back now, millions and millions of years ago, within the first 600 million years after the earth was formed, fossil evidence reveals that the first form of life were single cells, right? Like the amoebas, the bacteria, the algae, they were all single cell life forms. 2.75 billion years later, these cells figured out how to become multicellular life forms, and that's how when animals and plants started to appear on the planet. But and as the evolution progressed, many of these cells came together to form colonies of millions and trillions of cells, and that is how the human life form came about, right? So the objective of a single cell was always to evolve into something more, was always there to survive, find abundantly friendlier environments, and avoid the toxic, hostile environments, right? That is how the cells grew, and that is how we exist today, millions and millions of years after the earth was formed. Now, this is all coming from a scientific perspective. This is not something that I've made up in my mind. This is what I've read in scientific journals and books where doctors talk about, PhDs and doctors talk about this kind of stuff, right? There's a lot of evidence about it. So if that is the case, and we are formed of trillions of cells, and if every cell's objective when they were single cell forms was to evolve and to seek more, it is no wonder we as a colony of trillions of cells seek the same, seek to get more, desire more in life. And I believe that is why it is okay for us to desire more in life, right? And that is where it comes from. It is kind of hardwired in us, given that we are colonies of single cells who always wanted to evolve and aspire more. Now, by the way, this not only applies to the body and intellect, or the physical plane and the intellectual plane, where we are trying to get more knowledge, know more about how things work, invent new ideas, invent new things and services from those ideas. And on the physical plane, we want to be more healthy, we want to be more fit, we want to be more muscular, we want to live longer lives. It is okay for us to do that, right? On the spiritual plane as well, whether you believe in reincarnations, or whether you believe in life after death or life before birth, it doesn't matter. The laws of universe apply even at the spiritual plane, where even the spirits are trying to evolve and move from and evolve from ego to love, right? If we are all created in the image of God, and if God is the or I would say a supreme energy, right, depending upon what you believe in, and if that supreme energy is all about love, and we are made in that image, then it is the purpose of every living species to aspire to get to that image of God, which is the ultimate image of God, which is love, right? That is why we all are reborn into forms based on how we have done in our current lifetime, right? Now that is what we were taught in Hinduism. I believe there are a lot of religions who believe in reincarnation, but irrespective of that, right? I don't want to start talking about religion in this podcast, but why I wanted to come to you guys, to the listeners, to think about why it is okay to aspire for more. It is not wrong to aspire for more, to be rich in all the three planes at the same time, right? And this was documented in a book called as The Science of Getting Rich. I've spoken about Wallace Wattles, the author of Science of Getting Rich, in my earlier podcasts. One of my top 10 books every entrepreneur should read. This is the book where Wallace Wattles says, look, I'm going to teach you the science of getting rich. And he also says it is absolutely okay for every human to aspire to be rich. That is the only way you can serve the community. That is the only way you can serve the not so privileged population of this world, right? Now, as long as you are aspiring to be rich on the creative plane and not on the competitive plane, that is the right way to go. So in this book, he says, I'm going to teach you the science of getting rich. There is a certain way for all of us to become rich, and if you follow that, then you will be rich, right? And there are a lot of things and other laws that he explains in this book. It's an amazing book if you guys want to read it, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. That is why in this book he explains how we attract what we think of, right? And that is why it says thought is the ultimate power, because from thought you can manifest whatever you think into reality if you follow a certain way, and that certain way will allow you to become rich if you are trying to aspire to become rich on a creative plane and not on a competitive plane. But something to think about, I believe very strongly now that the only way for us to serve the community and the world is to become the best version of ourselves. And to become the best version of ourselves, we need to seek and achieve as much as we can and achieve to our potential, right? And if our potential is unlimited, then we should try to get as much as possible. As much as unlimited is how we define for ourselves, right? So I believe this helps you guys to think about why it is okay to be successful on all three planes of our existence, physical, mental, and spiritual, and why it is okay to seek more money, to seek more riches, so that we can help others as well and provide value to others as well. Remember, you have unlimited potential. Own it. Thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.